So Paris, I'm watching this wonderful DVD with all the extras, and there's these great featurettes where they interview the cast, and they actually brought on Mr. Gene Wilder, and he's talking about the kids, and he said that Paris was a brat. Mm-hmm. But he's like, I love you, Paris, but he was a brat during. Do you have memories of being a brat, or was it offensive to you that he said that, or?
The truth hurts. Offensive would be it being your first question.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be offensive.
I always like to go in for
the
kill right off the bat.
Theoretically, if you did that, that might be offensive. But besides that, no, it's fine. That's who I was. I was 11. I was rambunctious. I think a lot of 11-year-old boys are rambunctious. And yeah, I think the actually thing he says is, "Oh, Paris, you know I love you now," which when I just died when I saw that. The first time I saw the footage, because he's looking right at me and he's saying, I love you now, and what can you do?
Yeah.
It certainly wasn't his fault. He was a pro. He was on set. He was trying to get a job done, and here's flying monkey boy going all over the set.
You must have been a troublemaker, because I know that Denise didn't let any bees loose.
And the last person I saw in that area, I believe, was him.
And somehow the bees were let loose.
The bell jar didn't fly off all on its own.
So I'm told.
You have no memory of doing it, but
That's
you remember
true.
getting stung.
That's true. That's all. Everything you just said is true.
Wow.
That's right.
These memories that I read about, to me, the best way to re-experience this wonderful movie is to watch the DVD and to watch the extras and to read the booklet and learn all about what life was like. For me, once a year it came on TV, and the entire family would sit around and watch Willy Wonka, and it was such a joyous experience, not only being with the family, magical, but here I get a little bit of inside information on what life was like. But as a kid, though, tell me about the first time you saw an Oompa Loompa. What was your thoughts? What was going on? Do you remember?
Very strange, very. But we're doing a movie, so it wasn't probably your first take on seeing Oompa Loompas. And having read the book, we knew they weren't going to look like you and me, but they were interesting looking, very much so.
What about you? Coming into a movie?
I'm trying to remember whether the first time I saw Oompa Loompas was when they opened the big door onto the Pure Imagination room and they were working in the back and doing the creaming and sugaring and that kind of stuff. That was the first time I saw them in situ. But I also have a photo of me hanging out with some Oompa Loompas, and we're all about the same height. I've got one of those sort of bibs under me because I've got my makeup on.
Right.
Or maybe they've got them because they had the orange makeup. They always, that's what it is. And I'm backstage and I'm hanging out with them. I may have seen them before I saw them in the room first, but Oompa Loompas was just part of it. I mean, there were also amazing sets,
just
and
part of the movie.
Music and design elements. I mean, it was pretty special to be there in many ways.
Over the years, you've probably met hundreds, if not thousands, of diehard fans of the. What is the biggest misconception when they come up and they talk to you?
Misconception.
Like
what do you mean?
when they ask you something or they find out something, like everybody wants to believe it's real. They want to believe.
Probably was everything edible.
That's pretty. Yeah, that's about right.
It's like the biggest question.
It just depends on what
the
age
biggest
range
question,
you're talking to.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest questions. Another big question is, did you like the remake?
Oh,
Right.
I can
That's a big
imagine
question. And the
that,
third
yeah.
one's probably, was Gene nice?
What was Gene Wilder like?
Yeah, okay,
Yes.
yeah, I can imagine too. I mean, looking back, I mean, it's Gene Wilder. I mean, but as a kid, do you know that's Gene Wilder, or just like it's some
Gene
wasn't Gene
Wilder
Wilder.
wasn't exactly. He was not. His
Yeah.
big claim to fame was Quaxer Fortune as a cousin in the Bronx. So, I mean, he was not this gigantic superstar. I think what was so amazing is that he was such a soft-spoken, quiet, gentle man. And the boat scene, I was terrified. I'm like, who is this person? Wow. I mean, that was all him. And he put his own spin on things, but you wouldn't know that from sitting down and talking to him because he's just such a normal, quiet individual.
No. Today, in this day and age, if you ask someone to lick wallpaper, you're not going to do that. I mean, as a kid, some of the things that you did when I think
afraid
about
you might pick something up?
exactly, you're
Something
germ.
thinking,
As an adult, you're like germs, or you see everything. You would never even do some of the things. But if somebody told you today, we're going to put you in a suit for 8 hours?
I would have said no then had I known.
Really?
So I definitely would say no now.
I can't even imagine sitting still for 8 hours, let alone, you know.
Tough.
I mean, everybody going off to lunch, and they leave you in the big, you know.
Mel Stewart assigned a man. You know, he did this in Germany, so the crew only spoke German. And this guy sat in a chair, and he'd roll me. So I would hang like this for 5 minutes, hang like this, and everybody went off to the commissary. Whoa, wait a minute, what happened to me here? So yeah, it was a long day. Long day.
What about your friends when the movie came out? Were you walking a little bit higher? What was all your friends' reaction? I mean, they don't know what's going on as you're going to film a movie, but now you're in this big movie.
It wasn't an enormous success back then, and of course, I probably suffered more than most for the picking, you know, spitting's a dirty habit, picking my nose. You know, and I was about 14 then, so I don't know how many boys said, "Oh, geez, she's in a wonderful movie." So I probably had a different type of experience than others, but it really wasn't this mega hit or this iconic, timeless, magical thing that we were in at the time. It was just another ordinary movie.
Do it was for you, Paris? Or?
No, the same answer. It wasn't that. I mean, it was nice that I could say that this was one of the things that I'd done, but the power of it, if you will, grew with the popularity of the film over time to the point where now it's 40 years later and we're still talking about it. Yeah. So it's common. It's common ground that I have with anybody. It's almost like a superpower because I'm not the same face that I was then. Right. Certain people can tell it's me, like people with photographic memories or visual artists who can see that I have the same face that I had then, or a Wonka freak. If you take those out, people are not going to be fan.
Okay,
you know,
Fanatic
fanatic.
is good. Fanatic.
Fanatic.
Freak addict.
Freak addict.
I would like to think that I'm
It
a
wasn't
Wonka
meant in a
freak.
disparaging way. I just mean a Wonka fanatic.
Right.
If you take those people aside, they're not really going to be able to tell that it's me. So that if it's just someone, it just nags at them. It's like, have we met?
Yeah.
Have we met? You know, and I sort of have the power to I was going to say freak them out. Is that okay? Can I say
that's
freak?
right.
Is that all right? I have
I think I
the
say,
power to
what is
freak
this,
them
a
out.
freak out? Don't I say
True.
that in the
I'm
film?
stepping on your line. That's right.
Nobody asked you to sponsor like gum or be a spokesperson or anything?
No, you know, it's amazing. We did a PR thing, you know, several years ago. And, you know, they ushered Julie and Michael and Paris into the room. And they said, I'm sorry, you know, this is for cast only. And I said, I am. And they said, no, you're PR. They had no clue who I was. So I don't encounter these problems, you know. And for a long time, 15, 20 years, I never told anybody I'd even done a school play. I wanted to distance myself completely. And so now I've, you know, in the last 15 years embraced it, but they still don't know who the hell I am.
Well, I know who you are, and it's a pleasure.
Oh.
Absolute pleasure.
Thank you, my
and you
pleasure.
were...
I'm with her.
Oh, you're with her? You're
I'm with
assistant.
her.
Right, exactly.
I am.
It's absolute pleasure. Thank you, guys.
My pleasure.